Great. It's 5 o'clock on the 27th of July, 2021. I will call the finance meeting to order. Councilmember Watson is present, as well as Deputy Mayor Justin Evans. Councilmember Carter has not yet arrived, but we will start without him and go into personnel update with Jenna. Hello.
Hello. So we have, we'll get started on the recruitment part because that's the busiest part that we've got going on still. In the public services, in the public works division, we have seasonal laborers that we're still trying to fill, where we had mostly all of them filled the last update. Several have now left and gone on to other opportunities or internships or preparing to go back to school. So they're still looking for more, and they had another round of interviews with 7 candidates today. The maintenance worker 1/2 in the water division, we have 4 candidates that are going to be interviewed on the 29th. And we also have a meter reader position that is open. 47 applications were received, 11 were forwarded to the department for review, and 5 candidates have been selected to participate in the interview process, which is scheduled for the 2nd. In the admin division of public services, we have the permit tech 1 position. We have had 3 rounds of interviews for that particular position, and the last set was conducted yesterday. And the successful candidate from that process actually met for a 2nd interview today with Brian, hoping that we'll be able to move forward on that one. In the finance department, the accounting specialist 1/2, we had 2 internal applicants that were interviewed for that position today. In court, we had the bailiff position. 1 candidate was interviewed for that position today. We're having a tough time finding candidates that meet the qualifications for that particular position. And in recreation, we have the before and after school site directors. We are going to need 4 site directors, so that's half of the site director staff, and multiple assistants are also needed. We have interviews scheduled for the 2nd, and I think so far we only have 2. And neither of those people have actually even replied to the interview invitation yet. Those positions are listed as open until filled. I do know we have 1 applicant for the assistant position, but we do need multiple. And I do know that David and Alex have met with the school district to talk with them about the staffing situation and looking at alternative options in the event that we can't fully staff the program. And in the police department, we have 2 candidates that are currently in the background process. One is a lateral applicant, and the other is what we call an exceptional applicant, meaning they don't meet all of the qualifications yet for being a lateral, but they are, this particular applicant is currently employed as a police officer. They don't have 2 years of experience yet on the books. So in other news, we believe we reached a TA with the Police Guild for our non-sworn staff. They're going to be replying to me tomorrow. I credit the chief with all of the efforts on that. I have been the support crew, and he has taken full steps to get us to that endpoint. So thanks for all of the work on that, chief. If we do receive that notification that they have voted and accepted the contract, we'd like to bring it to the council workshop next week for action. That will give payroll time to implement everything prior to the payroll running. So if we can get it done, then they have a little extra time. If we have to wait till the following week, we can do that. It just really narrows the amount of time that payroll has to get things done, and there's retros involved.
Okay.
And we do have talks are continuing with AFSCME on several of the appendix items that were in the collective bargaining agreement. We are working on this week the remote work policy and the certifications for maintenance workers. We've met previously on both of those things. We hope to get that information wrapped up as agreed upon in the appendix of the CBA, and then next we'll be working on a team effort for code enforcement. So there are several things still outstanding from that collective bargaining agreement. These 2 items are really more, one is a reopener of the language of the contract, and the other is really just bargaining the impact of our remote work policy.
Good.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
That's getting shorter, I think, isn't it?
It is.
Seems like
yeah,
it.
It is getting a little bit shorter. I mean, for me, the bulk of my work has really been on really a lot of the bargaining process and those kinds of things. And Melissa really, I mean, her efforts have been extraordinary. really has done the bulk of almost all of that work that I have articulated. The only one that I've taken the lead for is the police recruitments as the civil service secretary. So Melissa deserves all the credit for the work on.
Sure entitled with a great newsletter too. I read that whole thing. It was a good job.
I will.
It was very
Thank you.
informative.
Thank you.
Moving on to business action items. AB 21-102, Resolution 2964, contract with Pierce County Sheriff Incorporated, provide courtroom security and services related to the bailiff. That's probably you then, John?
Kathy.
Kathy, are you
okay.
there? Kathy, you're on mute.
I'm here.
Hello.
Hi, Kathy.
Lily just downstairs.
I'm gonna put you on speaker. Hi there.
Hello.
Hello.
So the judge can't get on and everything else, and that, so I have her on speaker. So hopefully you guys will be able to hear her.
Okay.
So, okay.
Yes, we can hear you fine,
Yep.
Your Honor.
Can you hear her?
Yes.
So yeah. So we just got the emails in that from John on this. So.
So what we discovered, I guess, for Tom's benefit, they have some standard contract language in here that we have to indemnify and defend their employees. So we need to take a closer look at that before we approve this contract. But we thought we're okay to.
I can't hear anything.
Let me.
So Judge Daniels, I was just saying we found some standard language in their agreement that has us indemnifying and defending their employees for any and all actions. So we need to review that with legal before we can approve that. So we'll run it through committee tonight, but we'll pull it off the council agenda tonight.
So
So are they aware that we will be without any security in the courtroom starting Monday?
Well, I can't in good faith have council sign a contract that has us defending and indemnifying armed guards.
Judge Daniels, we can cover. I know that CSO Yanez was already covering on Monday, so we can cover what needs to be covered in the interim.
okay. Did you hear that, Your Honor? That Chief Jeter said and everything else, and that is that they can help cover until we get it.
All right.
Stuff, so.
Okay. All right. Well, then I guess we should set up a meeting with the city attorney.
Okay, all right. So we can follow up with Kathleen on that. And then also, just briefly, as I did talk with Rob, and he said that he is open to further negotiations, and that if we needed to go the longer contract that was presented to the city back in 2018, they would be willing to look at that as well. So.
And then also, I mean, if we can get this contract language worked out, we could put it on the August 3rd.
Okay, that was going to be my next question. Okay. All right.
Is there anything we could do remotely on that if need be or will that be satisfactory?
No, that would be satisfactory.
Okay.
Okay. And just put it on for an emergency, for the workshop for emergency action. Okay.
On the 3rd, discussion and action.
Okay.
And I know Deputy Mayor had some questions about the cost.
Yeah, I did. I just had a couple questions on the required expenditure is $60 an hour. I think we're somewhere in the $23, $24, $25 an hour range. So I know we just talked about personnel updates and how difficult it is to find someone. So
Right.
I understand that the cost itself is going to be a little more than double what we're currently doing in the interim. But what I didn't see is a budget amount, and I'm not sure that this was budgeted for. I wanted to ask Sheriff if it was, and if it wasn't, is this something that we can eat, or is this something we'll have to do a amendment on at some point?
Well, and if Jenna had said everything else, that the approximate benefit package for the current bailiff was about 21%. And so I did some rough numbers, and I believe it looks like that there would be a difference of like 14,000. Yeah, about 14,000 and everything else difference over and above what we're currently paying.
And that's through
I can certainly,
But yeah,
sorry. I can
That's
certainly
through the-
run the numbers if I know what the not to exceed amount is, but I didn't see a not to exceed amount.
Yeah, I wasn't sure on that.
Okay. And you
So-
do understand that right now we're paying $25 an hour?
Yes, they understand that. Yeah.
Okay, and we didn't get, we got 11 applicants, and none of them were qualified.
Yeah. So we're up to a total of 11 applicants and none of them are qualified.
It'd almost be something that, knowing how difficult it is, a $3,000, $5,000 bonus would be saving the company or saving the city $10,000 to $12,000 if the right person is enticed by something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know what our policy is on that, but I know that's the case everywhere. I mean, Pierce County is offering $15,000 for police right now to transfer over.
Yeah, I think part of,
Another
go ahead, Sherry.
Another thing to consider would be possibly increasing that wage and continuing to recruit and, being able to opt out of Pierce County once you hire someone.
What was the duration of this contract? Was this through the end of the year or just as needed?
I think it's negotiable.
I think it was negotiable.
Okay. So if we used them for 6 or 8 weeks and then we finally found that right candidate, we're not obligated through the remainder of the year.
Correct.
Okay.
I'd like to do that. I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Even like the overtime, $90 an hour. So,
Chief
But-
Peter has his hand
Yeah.
up.
Oh, sorry, Chief. Go
sorry,
ahead.
Chief.
That's okay. Can I just make a quick comment? I think part of what restricts the applicant pool too is it's not a full-time position. I was actually contacted by he's basically the equivalent of a CSO in Fife that is interested in the job but is interested in full-time. And I know the hours aren't quite there for a full-time, but I think that causes some of the issue with the applicant pool as well. And then also having a backup for the bailiff too is that usually falls on our department, which we can provide, but then again that impacts our schedule and possibly our overtime. So where with Pierce County Security, if somebody is absent, they would replace that person, and it's kind of seamless. And I've discussed some of the limitations with Judge Daniels on Pierce County Security as far as they will not be commissioned. I will not grant them a commission because they don't go through our background process. So they will not be able to take somebody into custody. So we'll just have to be a little more strategic on how we do things. But I think that's some of the limitations on the applicant pool is the pay and not being full time. So that's just my 2 cents.
I would add to that, I'm sorry to
Oh, go ahead,
interrupt you,
please.
but in addition to what the chief just articulated about the number of hours the position works, it's also not benefited. So the only benefit that they actually receive is the DRS benefit. They're required to participate based on the number of hours that they work, but they don't reach the threshold to receive benefits in other ways from the city. And so somebody who might be considering even some sort of job in between, like they are not quite ready for retirement age, they're not going to be able to bridge that gap for retiring from one place and then having some sort of healthcare benefit until they reach Medicare eligibility.
Question now, if we raise the wages higher than they are now, would that offset not working full time though? Would be a benefit for someone to come work for us at a higher wage and still working 32 hours a week, I guess? I don't know.
Officer Longtime want to come back? One other question. I remember after Chris Bassett left, we tried this before. Was this company, and why did we pull the plug on that at that time?
Kathy?
Oh, I'm sorry. Everything else, because it came back to the judges, and the judges requested that they wanted to have an armed officer in the courtroom in lieu of a non-armed officer.
Oh, okay.
Back up with recruitment.
It is, okay. And this time, they will be armed in this? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And we're satisfied with the content of quality of the people that they'd be providing?
I believe they said that they had 2 personnel that were armed officers, and yeah, and didn't they say too and everything else that they would be able to bring them in for us to interview them, Your Honor?
Yes.
Yes. So,
All right, I mean, if that's how you guys want to, we'll wait till legal gives us the go-ahead for next Tuesday. But
Okay.
are you,
I'm
have any
fine,
other
yeah.
questions? Okay. And then hopefully we can figure out things in recruiting.
and I think Sherry had a question.
Yeah, can you remind me, is this a 0.4 FTE?
The 0.6.
0.6.
0.6. Okay, so just running some quick numbers over here because, I like to do that on the fly. If we had a 0.6 at the $60 an hour, that's $75,000. If we paid $25 an hour, made it full-time, that's $52,000 plus benefits. Say benefits are 1.3 because they're going to go up. That's still less than what you'd pay Pierce Security to have a full-time employee.
I don't think you're going to get the applicants though, even though it's full-time at $25 an hour. So I think even so, you could probably bump it up and still be under Pierce County Security. It's just, again, finding the applicant and replacing them. There's pros and cons. And I think you would definitely have to visit the salary to get the right person in there. And I'll let Judge Daniels talk about that too, but that's my opinion.
Well,
So your break-even point would be about $27, $28 probably.
lack of qualified applicants.
I'm sorry, Your Honor. Sherry was talking.
Oh, it's really hard to hear.
Okay.
I apologize.
Okay,
I
so
think that was reflected in the number of applicants that we received, and none of them were qualified.
did you guys hear her? Did
Yes.
you hear?
Yeah.
Yes.
Who has the qualifications that we're looking for isn't going to be willing to work for $25 an hour.
Right. I was saying your break-even point would be about $28 an hour with Pierce Security. That's with benefits full-time.
It's probably the way to go then for now then.
Yeah, we
can always change it
we've got
later.
coverage as long as we're.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Okay.
We'll proceed with that then, and hopefully recruitment can do some renegotiation with some pricing, or is that all on a scale at that point? Is that non-represented?
Yeah, it's a
Police?
non-represented position. It's no longer in the bargaining unit. It was in the police guild and the non-sworn, but that by several years ago. I mean, really, it's a matter of what was approved in the budget.
Okay.
And so as the recruiter, we have to stick within the confines of that. And
Yeah.
so if there is additional room or approval to change that rate, then that's what we would do. My biggest concern still is that even with the amount that Sherry articulated, our break-even point, they have identified they don't have a need for a full-time position.
Yeah.
They don't have court daily, and so you would have, times when they wouldn't be working doing that job, and so they need something else to do.
Yeah.
And then all of the benefits that go with it. But I believe Sherry has included that in her calculation. Yeah. But still, $27 or $28 an hour probably is not going to get us what we need. The rate hasn't been adjusted in some time, which we need to look at.
Yeah. And we increased it up in this budget cycle up to the 25.
We've been paying more than
We did that last year.
We've been paying that for quite a while, Kathy.
Okay.
All right, great.
And to answer your original question, Justin, yes, it will require a budget amendment.
Oh, okay. Well.
Okay.
Thank you. We'll move on now to finance open discussion. Councilmember Watson. Oh, I'm sorry.
Notes. They're good.
Approval. Okay.
No problems.
All right.
This is for Sherry. We had the last sales tax decrease you brought to our attention that you weren't concerned about it. What if that continues as decrease in the year? Is that going to affect your budget, Sherry? The last sales tax report shows decreased. if we continue the rest of the year, would that be a problem?
It was still an increase over 19 though.
Right.
Yeah,
Correct.
which is what our budget was based on, was
19, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's exactly why I tried to articulate to that, you guys, so that you realized what was going on there. And I wasn't concerned about that.
Yeah, thank you, Sherry. Another thing, it was brought to my attention that we had some catalytic converters stolen in Public Works a while back. Why was that not brought to finance? Because we've had those in years past, things stolen back there. It was brought to our attention, so we're aware of. That's how much money we lose by that. You know?
I have no idea. Since I've been here, I've never brought anything like that forward to finance. I don't know what the exact cost was. I think it was 3 or 4 vehicles, and ER&R has budget.
Came within the budget then?
Oh, yeah.
There was no need to put any additional, I know we're moving anything like move. We talked before about cameras out there and stuff, but no location and stuff. It's just they cut the fence and go in, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, at the new facility, if that's your question, yeah, we're definitely going to be having cameras. We're going to be going with a smaller mesh on the chain link. But certainly, like you just said, people can still cut their way through. If someone wants to get in, they'll get in.
They've done lots before.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Just to answer the question, though, is that something I should be bringing?
Well, I thought we should. If it's within your budget, no, I wouldn't worry about that. But I just was surprised. I wasn't aware of it at all. That's all I've got.
This was out of Moriarty, right?
It was. They were actually parked down at Moriarty, which is less secure.
Yeah. I guess I can't do much out there.
No.
Anyone else for the good of the order? All right, we will adjourn. See everyone in a